All right, let's talk about writing out checks for taxes. That's the basic way that you can know whether your taxes have gone up or down, right? Alderman Mark. And by the way, when we're talking about taxes, we're talking about taxes, fees, fines, penalties, all the other stuff, all the little assessments they put in there. In addition, has that gone up or down? And I think we need to include them all.
It's clearly
gone up. And one of the problems we face, although there's this cap on taxes, it's only on taxes. If the city can figure out a way to skirt around it, which it does from time to time, and to a greater or lesser degree, and that is to increase the fee, which we did with the recycle fee this year. We went up 10%, from 10 to $11.
Okay, a couple of things to note. First, okay, to just as a correction, taxes are not frozen.
Oh yeah, you do.
Okay? So it's important to note that debt service was specifically exempted. So there was a an increase to taxes just to cover debt service this year. Okay, now in my house, okay, if I end up having to have an unexpected amount of money due, I don't get to just raise my compensation level to match it. Okay, so unlike government, I actually have to make a cut. It means no vacation, or it means no something else, or it means less eating out. But in our case, since we weren't precluded from increasing taxes for purposes of debt service, wow, that's exactly what happened. Yeah. We took that maximum increase for the debt service increase. In addition to that, as you correctly noted, it does not that freeze does not cover fees. So the wastewater utility fees that are on your tax bill, the
water runoff,
a new charge for recycling. And I think it's important to note that it is not that that we increased the $10 to $11. We essentially added an extra dollar. Okay, and that dollar only appeared on that line item because they didn't have time from a technology standpoint to get it separated out. But the city administrator assured us that it will in fact be a separate line item in future years. So what you had is the $10 that was originally agreed to, that's covering 10 years to cover the cost of the bins. But now you have a new charge. So essentially a new fee was put on the bill for $1 to try to account for some of the recycling money that the state is not giving back to us. And the state's not giving back to us more than $250,000, if I recall correctly. And the dollar that got added is significantly less than that. So money was taken from other sources. However, it's important to note taxes did go up, number one. And number two, taxes went up by even more than we think in terms of lack of a balanced budget, because we still took out $2.7 million, as we did in the previous year, from our reserves. Now, you can't keep doing that. Eventually, you run out of money to take out of the reserves. But under state government law, finance law, when we take money out of the reserves, we still count that as a balanced budget. Okay, because essentially what it means is there was a surplus in the previous year. Well, I don't think that's right. We should have a balanced budget in this year, which means additional cuts should have been made. And eventually we're going to have to make those cuts because we're borrowing from Peter to pay Paul. So, my overall concern is your taxes went up by the amount of the debt service, which was, I think, about $2.5 million, if I remember correctly, and then another $2.7 million that we didn't raise them because we borrowed them from a surplus that we had in the previous year. So that came out of reserves, decreasing our reserves. Okay? Eventually, if your reserves get too low, your bond rating suffers. We enjoy a AA bond rating today. We won't continue to enjoy that if we dwindle our reserves too far down. So, my concern is that people think that their taxes were frozen. They weren't, and think that we had a balanced budget, and they didn't get a balanced budget. The one thing about fees that actually may be a benefit to the taxpayers of the city of Racine is you get to see exactly where that money's going. Okay, there's no hiding. Okay, that $10 is going to the bins. That $1 is going to cover a deficiency in recycling revenue from the state. The water runoff, as you pointed out, going to the water district. you at least know where that money's going. Apparently, we can hide the other money in a variety of different ways that make it much more difficult for you to figure out what your money's actually being spent on. I mean, my concern really is getting citizen involvement in that budget process right at the beginning to talk to us about what they're concerned about. Citizens came in, said they were concerned about Humboldt Park. And guess what? We were able to find money someplace else and restore Humboldt Park. Okay? If citizens come forward and voice their concerns, we have a track record of showing that we'll respond to that. But if nobody comes, okay, then we leave the city to their own devices. And I think that's not the right way for an informed citizenry to act.
Alderman, I just want to close off this segment by saying that you have done more than anyone on that council to really attack tax increases. And the alderman has shown in one of your early budget hearing attendance, when you were still a brand new alderman, a knowledge of how you have to deal with it. I would just like you to close out this segment by talking about what are our hopes for actually decreasing taxes. You're fighting tooth and nail just to balance the budget, to stop an increase. Do you see anything in the future that says we can actually decrease taxes to get those 16,000 people that we've lost over the last, 30 years, so we can give the merchants in this town a break, so we don't have so many closed stores along Douglas Avenue and downtown Racine, where there's more shoppers out there just from 16,000 people making a living and able to survive and subsist in this town?
No, my concern is that we have a very substantial overhead. When 16,000 people move out of your community and water rates have to go up to account for it, okay? It's not a supply and demand world in government, okay? We have an infrastructure that we have to feed, and I don't see innovative ways coming up to try to reduce that. About the only way that I've seen City Hall really address the issue of tax reduction is to say we need to increase the number of jobs in the city. Unfortunately, we're not really doing anything to effectively achieve that result. We're not refocusing our efforts on attracting businesses that are more likely to come here, that it will take advantage of our being the jewel on the lake. And as a result, my concern is that we'll continue to see decreases in population, but not decreases in overall costs. And does the cost of policing the city decrease when 16,000 people leave? Does the cost of fire department coverage decrease? Does the cost of wastewater and water decrease? What we've shown is that none of those things goes down when you decrease population. So either we need to find some innovative ways of doing things differently so that those costs can go down as population decreases, or we have to find a way of increasing our tax base. And I'm not seeing much innovation from City Hall in terms of how to attract businesses that will bring sustainable jobs to the city.
Thank you, Alderman, and thank you, folks. And now you heard the challenge. Now let's get behind the alderman. Let's see if we can't do something about this declining population, and let's get those people back.